Okay, so we have been playing Druid for Diablo 4 launch quite a bit. We're on hardcore mode. We're at 87 right now, working our way up to level 100. And this is just my Pulverize Druid setup for hardcore mode. And we're just going to go over what the current iteration is after the balance changes like a couple days ago. First thing is we'll go over gear. This is the current helmet that I'm using. Vasili's Prayer. This starts dropping in World Tier 3. It's just a random drop. You can't really focus farm it too hard, but it basically makes Earth skills werebear skills. So what that means is when you're in your werebear form, you could use stuff that has an Earth tag that adds werebear tag also. So like your defensive skill and like your generators. In addition to that, it fortifies, right? So pretty good. You just hope to get like high tier rolls like health, overpower, shapeshift. The resist roll doesn't matter, so don't worry about resist. Just worry on everything else. So this helmet, you don't have to have this helmet, but that's how it makes the build a lot better. Chest, you pretty much just want defensive rolls. So life, anything with armor, damage reduction while fortified, damage reduction to any type. You want that on your chest. 2 sockets, obviously. You want your armor, aspect, potentially max roll. So don't use aspect from the dungeon. Use a max roll aspect. So as many defensive stats as you want on your chest. Survivability is king in the higher tier Nightmare dungeons. You can also use a werebear chest if you want to, but I prefer the legendary chest. For your gloves, you just want damage multipliers. So you want your plus to pulverize, you get up to +4. You get +4 by going to your blacksmith and upgrading it after 725 item levels. You want lucky hit chance, you want critical hit damage with earth skills. Then I actually prefer attack speed on my gloves over critical strike chance, and I'll explain that a little bit, but I got crit right now, so they're perfect. And then you want the Grizzly Rage legendary aspect, and you want the duration increased by 5, so maximum roll there. These are my pants, same exact thing, just pure defensive roll, life, as much damage mitigation that you can get. No like plus skills, you can get plus potions if you want, but yeah, just straight up as much flat mitigation as you can. Damage reduction, total armor, damage reduction while fortified, damage reduction while in werebear form, stuff like that. Your boots, the implicit roll that you want is either max evade charges, or you want to have movement speed while you evade. You 100% want resource cost reduction because Pulverize is very spirit intensive. So you want spirit reduction, you want movement speed just because you're a slow little fat unkillable potato that just does insane amounts of damage. So you want movement speed, you want like willpower, which is good, and then your fourth roll is like up for grabs. I just have poison resist, even though it's not really good. I'd probably prefer reduced damage while injured in case I get hit hard. That would diminish the effect of me dying. And then you just want the aspect where earth skills slow enemies here. For weapon, you have 2 weapon choices. I prefer either mace or staff. Okay. The implicits are different. One CC effect, one overpowered effect, so one gives you better clear. If you notice maces, they have a slower attack speed, so the top end damage is higher. I actually prefer this for clearing because it kind of like ensures that I'm one-shotting most things in my Nightmare dungeon, unless if there's like some defensive buff. And then for your affix that you want on there, just crit damage with earth skills, crit damage, damage to like close, willpower, damage to distant enemies, damage increase for core skills, damage to slowed stuff, anything like that. And the biggest thing is you want your Pulverize legendary effect on your 2-handed weapon, because this will just give you the most value out of it. And this is like one of the things that really makes the build just do more damage. And the way you get it, just a random drop. I either gamble gloves or an offhand totem at the obols, right? So you just, if you don't get it from a drop, just collect obols during Hell Tides and just gamble gloves or totems. I like doing gloves because you're not going to use a totem. You're just gambling the totem for the aspect power, but you're more likely to get your Pulverize effect there. For your amulet, you just want an amulet with spirit cost reduction, more movement speed, damage reduction while fortified, more damage, or cooldown reduction for higher uptime on your Grizzly Rage ability. This item right here, and then you also want fortify effect. Core skills deal more damage while fortified because you're always going to fortify, and that just gives you damage reduction and stuff, 10% damage reduction. So more damage while fortified. Max roll. Rings, you just want crit damage, lucky hit chance, life. I'm still trying to re-roll lucky hit chance on this thing, but the gold cost is astronomical. And then you just want to change your Pulverize skill to an earth skill, right? And then just right here, life, crit damage, lucky hit chance. Implicit rolls on the resist doesn't really matter because resist is not really strong in Diablo 4. So just get damage multiplier stuff, crit damage, lucky hit chance. This aspect is kind of like up for grabs. Skills deal more damage damage based on your primary resource when cast. But if you're having spirit issues early on, what you can use is this umbral aspect, because you're always going to be applying some crowd control effects. This will give you additional resources, better resource generation. If you're having spirit issues, just run this instead of this. This goes along with your gear. So in addition to getting the proper affixes on each piece of gear, the other thing that you want to do is make sure you got your advanced tooltips turned on. It's in here, right? Turn on these two buttons, because the affixes all have ranges. It's extremely important for every affix, right? You want to not only have the proper stat, but a good roll. So you'll see like some of my stuff has good rolls on it. Some of it needs to be improved. The difference between some of these things, like on weapon, is absolutely astronomical for your overall character performance. So make sure you turn on advanced tooltips and make sure you're getting higher range rolls eventually. You know, just equip whatever you can at the start, but you want to try to get better rolls. Like right here, if I got 23% cool spirit cost reduction instead of 13.9, the build would feel a lot more fluid. But I kind of prioritize movement speed over spirit cost reduction there. Yeah, make sure you got high tier rolls for each affix, not just low tier rolls. Okay, now for spirit boons, they did like a bit of a tuning pass, so it's changed a little bit. Damage reduction from elites for the first tier. Second tier, critical hit damage. Second tier, I like using the lucky hit chance, and I've been using calamity also, but I just swapped off of it to test something. So you could use like this specialization one. You could put this in calamity, and then this obsidian sim got nerfed to like double the amount of kills, so it's all right. So yeah, you could put this one here, or you could also put critical strikes and shapeshift skills heal you also. And this synergizes very, very well if you get Temerity Pants, which is the unique pair of pants, which I haven't gotten yet. But Temerity is strong, and then you could also go this. So you could do Calm Before the Storm with Masochist, and then take out Obsidian Slam if you get Temerity. So those are the spirit boons. Now for the skill tree. Pretty simple. Your generator, just use Earth Spike, and then when you're in your Grizzly Rage form, you'll have that as your generator instead of Maul. There's damage increase there. More spirit, because you have pretty bad spirit generation. Max out Pulverize, get your overpowers over here. Critical chance when you're close is nice for bossing. Most of the time when you're clearing maps, right, you're just gonna be ranged. Damage reduction, just so you don't die. You want Earth and Bulwark for Unstoppable. Unstoppable is pretty much like one of the strongest defensive things in Diablo 4, because if you get CC'd, you might just end up dying. So, and then Fortified Generation, 2 points in this, and then just damage reduction when using a defensive skill. You got your Debilitating Roar, you just activate this when you go into like group of mobs. It hits like the entire radius, like almost an entire room. Gives you Fortify, and then also gives you a little heal. You're using Trample. This is for Unstoppable CC break, but then also like a little bit of a movement skill. And a little bit of damage also gives you some Fortify. This node right here, Defiance, just does more damage, more damage, more damage. You're not getting the extra multiplier, more damage there. And then Nature Magic Skill to also consume Spirit, heal you a little bit. Does more damage, 1 point for more Fortify. Your helmet will top you off, so you really only need 1 point in this. And then Stone Guard here for more damage also. Then Grizzly Rage, just like the big thing with the build, you pretty much want to be in Grizzly Rage 100% of the time. That's why I was saying I want to get the cooldown reduction roll on my amulet, but you want to try to have 100% uptime on Grizzly Rage. This is just going to make you unstoppable. It's also going to reduce your damage. It also has a stacking crit damage bonus because of your legendary aspect. And then your final juicer is Earth and Might. So this is why you're stacking Lucky Hit, and basically the idea is you want to hit like groups of enemies. You proc the Lucky Hit, it guarantees all of your crits to be crit strikes there. That's why you're stacking all the critical hit damage, and then you're just doing a huge burst cycle. It's also the downside of the build. If you don't hit your lucky hit, you don't proc this, your damage feels a little low, or your single target will feel a little lackluster. But when you do proc Earth and Might, your damage is huge. And then for the Paragon boards, the glyphs you want to be using right now are Exploit. This applies vulnerability on your initial hit, which the mobs take more damage, and so you just one-shot stuff when you're clearing your nightmare dungeons. You got your Spirit, you got your Undaunted, damage reduction while fortified, more damage reduction, amazing. Just stack as much damage reduction as you can, or damage reduction while in werebear form, and more damage too. And then I'm using Earth and Sky. This is interchangeable. You don't have to use Earth and Sky. I use this for clear, and then for single target damage, you could use like Fang and Claw instead, where you'll just be standing close to the boss. And then the Paragon boards that I'm using are, this is the default one over here. You got your Survival Instincts board. Then I got my Ancestral Guidance board. This node right here, the Ancestral Guidance, is really, really important because this gives you massive spirit sustain. So when you're clearing, your spirit's just always maxed out. So I go for this like pretty early on. It's got like some little damage nodes. You left over here. They're Undaunted up here. I don't actually get to Constricting Tentacles. I just use the board for the critical damage with core skills. And then the final board that I'm progressing right here is your final glyph. And I actually will wrap around and go to Earth and Devastation for more damage to crowd control effects. That's basically the Pulverize Druid. It did get nerfed a little bit recently, but it's still like ungodly strong, has really good survivability. There's a little bit of build change stuff with your boons, and they nerf like the effectiveness of your paragons. For your gems, you want to do critical hit damage to crowd control effects, damage reduction while fortitude. You could use like rubies too for more health, but the flat damage reduction I feel is better because it's always, your fortified is always up, and then just armor in all of your sockets just because just resist itself is really not that good. But overall, it's basically the current build and what I'm using for it.